What's good, people? It's about that time to randomly relate reverse rants, no hate. So, if you saw in my last video, I gave the pay-per-view numbers, the buys for Wilder versus Avanesyan, and they were 77,000 pay-per-view buys. Now, mind you, on that same day, you had Haney versus Kambosos. You had the female showdown with, Shields and Marshall. People had to pick and choose what they wanted to see. By far, Devin Haney and Kambosos numbers destroyed that number that was put up by Avanesyan and Wilder. I don't know what the numbers are for the females, but let me just tell you guys this. Outside of all the fanboy nonsense, where you got idiots, Wilder's the greatest heavyweight of all time and blah, blah, blah. Okay, when you finish sniffing his nuts and get back to topic, see, here's the point that people don't understand. See, people use the word stars, superstars, way too loosely, okay? As I said, there are certain fighters that are special, that have been in special positions where they could fight whoever, and they're going to sell because people want to see them. They have a strong fan base. Well, having a biased fan base doesn't mean anything. And you also got to understand this, because when they talked about piracy, well, if you were really a fan of someone, why wouldn't you order the fight? Why would you watch it for free? Right? Okay. People made up their mind. I don't want to pay for this shit. Quality. Quality. That's what you morons are overlooking. Am I going to order a pay-per-view and I don't even know these fighters? I don't care to know these fighters. They're charging $84. They're charging $80. Do you know why they're charging so much for these pay-per-views? Because they're losing a lot of money. And people will say, yeah, but if they drop the price, more people would order it. You would think that, but then it's like, because when the prices were lower, the numbers were still low. So we have to make money enough back to where we can pay everybody. And don't think that these promoters don't owe fighters, because they do. And that's one of the reasons why a lot of times you see fighters not fight as often as they say they want to fight, but they may not put the, they might not put the promotion on blast and say what the reason really is. Well, boxing as a whole suffers when things like that happen. See, when HBO was around with boxing, it should have never been HBO versus Showtime. It shouldn't be Matchroom versus PBC. It shouldn't be ESPN versus whoever. It shouldn't be any of that. It's boxing. Teofimo Lopez sent out a tweet trying to discredit Devin Haney, saying, oh, only 900,000 buys or something to that effect. Well, compare 900,000 to 77,000, right? And it's boxing. This is how boxers eat. You fight each other. That's how you eat, by fighting. But every fighter wants to say that the other fighter is crap, he's trash, he's not on my level, blah, blah, blah. You guys need each other, okay? And after what I just witnessed with Shields and Marshall, Baumgartner and Mayer, and I said, damn, if only the men worked this hard to put cards together. If only they wanted to fight each other. Well, listen at this. Now we have Terrence Crawford, who is no longer fighting, but not only fighting, he's no longer fighting with Errol Spence. And he basically said that he is moving on because Errol Spence doesn't want to fight him as bad as he wants to fight. So he's moving on. He wants to fight someone else. And he said David Avanesyan is the guy that he's going to fight. What I'm trying to understand is, does Bud Crawford think that people really care about this fight? Does he really think that because he beat Sean Porter, because he beat Sean Porter, that now he's just in a driver's seat to just, no, I can maneuver however? I'm not at all saying that if he wants to fight and he felt like Errol Spence is taking too long or whatever, because both sides are blaming the other. At this point, I don't even care. I don't even care about who's holding up the fight. I did a video about that months ago. I don't even care about all of that. It's his fault. No, it's his fault. No, I agreed to the terms. No, you didn't. No, I did this. You did that. This, and it's like, okay, I've lost interest in it. But here's the thing. Now, he also says, after he finished with David Avanesyan, his plan is to come back to fight Errol Spence. So basically, he just wants to keep busy. Okay, cool. But don't try to sell David Avanesyan to be better than what he is. I mean, for those who don't know this guy, they might just take what Terrence Crawford said about him at face value, about him being a very tough opponent, and he's, whatever. Here's my thing. Nobody's making you take this fight. You're choosing to take this fight. You want to know how you could really stick it to Errol Spence? Why not fight Virgil Ortiz? Why not fight Jerron Boots Ennis? Somebody like that. And say, okay, look at what I did. I went and took a tough fight. And now I'm back to fighting you. You got a fan base that thinks Jerron Boots Ennis is not on your level. They don't think Virgil Ortiz is on your level. So you must think different. I'm pretty sure you know different from the fans do. Because I'll say it again and again. When you are a champion, when you are an elite fighter, you do not look to take easy fights. Do you know for sure that you're going to get this fight with Errol Spence at some point? Because if you're saying, now you choose to walk away to go fight somebody else because you're saying he don't want to fight you. So after you fight this guy, David Avanesyan, right? What makes you think that anything's going to change? Now, if they're willing to pay him $10 million to fight David Avanesyan, I don't know what he was going to get against Spence. And that's if the fight was ever going to happen anyway. But this is going to be his highest payday. I don't think that him and Spence is going to fight after he fight this guy, David Avanesyan. Because I believe if he fights somebody, Spence is going to want to keep active and he's going to go fight somebody as well. And I think we're just going to get more of the same. You mean to tell me that as a fighter, you guys don't look at the competition that's out there and say, I want to fight the best guys out here. I'm confident that I can beat these guys. So let's get it on. Let's go. And you mean to tell me that you can give Jaron Ennis praise from afar? If anybody opens their mouth to say Jaron Ennis is not worthy, please tell me. Please tell me. I dare any one of you to say, oh, I said if he don't get the Errol Spence fight, he might as well fight David Avanesyan. Please tell me any one of you thought that. Because I know you didn't. The PBC, they need some new people to run what's going on over there. I asked the question, are they trying to put themselves out of business? Like, what is with these fights? I have yet to hear anybody ever, for any reason, bring up David Avanesyan's name. The PBC is not giving quality fights. I remember there was a time Eddie Hearn was being interviewed, and the interviewer asked Eddie Hearn, how would he would he be interested in managing Terrence Crawford? And he gave Terrence Crawford props and said, of course, sure, he's an incredible talent and great boxer. He says, but the thing is, what could I offer Terrence Crawford that he hasn't already been offered? Like, because let's be real, all the top welterweights are with the PBC. And that's the problem that seems to be, is they want to do everything in-house. So they don't want to fight someone that's not a part of the PBC. What is the purpose of having all these fighters in a stable, but you won't even let them fight each other? You're saying, yes, we know PBC like to try to keep it in-house. But where are these fights at? They still are failing to put the best fights on. I mean, you don't put a football team together and say, well, this is my starting line, but I'm just going to mix up whoever. Just, y'all just put whoever on out there on the field. No, your starting lineup is your winning team. You have a stable of fighters. You can then go through all the PBC guys and all the weight classes, and you're still saying, why haven't we got this fight versus this, this guy versus this guy? Why haven't we got this fight yet? Why haven't we got that fight yet? And it's been years of these same questions. So the PBC is looking real shaky right now. You guys, a lot of people seem to think that they just have some vault with just endless supply of money just floating around, like they can just gamble with money like that. When you understand who has to be paid and how much money is involved, these guys are not selling fights like they used to. And even for people to say, oh, that's because people streamed it illegally and yeah, whatever, man. Here's the look. This type of stuff has been going on forever. It's not like it's something that's happening just now. But we've seen other fights make way better numbers than the fights that were supposed to do really big numbers. From what I understand, they were expecting the Wilder Helenius fight to do between 250,000 and 300,000 pay-per-view buys. 77,000 is far from that. And as I stated before, yes, even if it was due to piracy, we can't determine how many people watched it illegally. If you knew who was watching it illegally, they'd have been okay. You'd be able to get receipts. You better find a way to arrest people, right? Yeah, you streamed us our stuff illegally. Yeah, we got you. No. The point is, they didn't care enough about this fight to not watch it for free, if they were going to watch it at all. How does Devin Haney versus George Kambosos A fight that we know wasn't necessary. We saw what happened the first time, and we knew that unless Devin Haney just had a terrible night, he'd do it again. Outsell the former heavyweight champion by far. And like I said in the last video, let's not forget you had Plant and Darrell in that fight. How many people tuned in to see that fight? So if you take that fight off the card, right? Like I said, then, you know, who we can't say how many people would have or wouldn't have bought that pay-per-view, but Andy Ruiz is no star. Ortiz is no star. The numbers don't freaking lie. And you want to know what's crazy? How come nobody said, oh, what killed this fight was the piracy? Why nobody said that? Why wasn't that a good excuse for them? Why nobody made that excuse for Canelo versus Golovkin? Why is it this one particular fight with Helenius and Wilder all of a sudden it was due to piracy? We can always resort to an excuse to say, well, this is the reason why. We don't know that for sure. We just know, looking at what's going on, boxing is suffering. Because all this segregation with all these different companies and promotions, it's just to a point where you got one company crossing their fingers, hoping that the other company runs out of business, go out of business, and just, yeah, we could take that fighter. We can take that fighter. Yeah, we can help them. They can come over here with us. And it's not helping the sport. And this is one of the reasons why we have so many casuals. Because they don't really care. All they care about is wanting to be a part of something big. And that's one of the differences in America. Like, example, why is it when they have a show in the O2 Arena, they have a show in the UK, they have a boxing show in the Philippines, Mexico, wherever, right? Why is it that the building is packed from the first fight to the last fight? Why? But when it comes to America, the building is half empty until like the last two fights. People out there taking Instagram pictures, Facebook, they on the red carpet. They want to be able to say they was there. They don't even know the undercard fighters. They just know the main event. You know who's in the main event. That mentality needs to really change. But people are people, right? And until you see things happen different from boxing itself, it's going to continue to be that way. As I said, if they did title eliminators and they did tournaments randomly, right? If they did it on a regular, where this is, boxing has changed. This is what it's going to be now. Y'all got to earn this money. And if you don't want to be a part of the big cards, that's what should be for pay-per-view. This fight, I think they said it's going to be $34.99. And I believe the expectations is, well, we're not going to sell this fight for a high price because, first off, nobody really knows who David Avanesyan is. And two, they might just buy this fight where, as opposed to us selling this fight for, you know, $80 like these other pay-per-views were. If this fight flops, it's just going to be more the same, and it's going to just show you that overall, these guys are not stars. If you are failing to get viewership, to get pay-per-view buys, people are not coming out to see these fights. You know, half-empty arenas and all of that. Like I said, as a company, what you want to do is be different. As a brand, you want to be different. Not, well, since they're doing that over there, we're going to do that too. But we just going to put our own twist on. No. Let's do it different. Let's get people attention. Let's do things where people are going to look at us and say, I like what they're doing over there. It doesn't matter. I'll say it again. at least with Matchroom, they try to put the best cards they can put on. I will give them that. But now coming over here in the States, you don't know these fighters. You like, man, what's so special about those guys? Well, the thing is, they're not trying to keep fighters away from each other like the PBC is doing. And the PBC has the majority of the big name fighters. But look at what they're doing. So here, instead of Spence versus Crawford, okay, no Crawford versus Jerron Enos, no Crawford versus Virgil Ortiz. No, David Avanesyan. Tyson Fury decides, well, AJ, you wasn't supposed to take this fight in the first place, but since you did, let me bail myself out. Okay, you took too long. I'm bored. I'm upset. I'm hurt. I really wanted this fight. Now I'm going to fight Manuel Charr. No, he heard the comments. He got the feedback about how people felt about that. Okay, well, Derek Chisora at least gets some respect. People at least expect him to come and fight, even though they know I'm going to beat him. They know there's no chance in hell of this guy beating me. But hey, right? Well, no, he doesn't want to fight a different opponent, a better opponent. In fact, look, guess who's fighting on the undercard? Daniel Dubois. He could have fought Daniel Dubois. And that's another Frank Warren guy. I mean, come on. There's better fights out there. He could have fought F.A. Ajaba. He could have, there's better fighters than Del Boy. So, no, here's an easy fight. Number 3, history. We have a little history. I'm not even, like I said, covering that fight. You know what I noticed, though? Tyson Fury wasted more time talking about Anthony Joshua and Eddie Hearn than he did about Derek Chisora. And that's the guy he's fighting. But he's constantly, every time I turn around, and it's not just questions from the interviews, himself looking for an outlet just to talk shit about AJ. But you're fighting Derek Chisora. So, no, instead of, well, since I can't get this guy, I want to fight a worthy opponent. Nah, let me just fight. Let me see. I'll fight him. David Avanesyan, Derek Chisora. These are the replacement fights. And the same thing. Look how fast. I forget, it's in December that these guys are fighting or whatever, right? So, look at that. Pow. Fight's on. Oh, well, he was already in fight shape because he was training for Spence. Yeah, duh. But just like that, the announcement, that's who he's fighting. No AJ and Fury. All of a sudden, just like that, bam, he's fighting Del Boy. And it would have been Charr if he didn't get roasted. It'd have been Charr. Because Charr's an easier fight than Del Boy. But at the end of the day, this is where boxing is going. The PBC, this is looking really bad for them. I don't see how they can't see this. We know for years Don King owed people money. I mean, I remember like the early 2000s. Tim Witherspoon said, Don King owed me money from the 70s. You got fighters right now, as I said, who barely fight. You forget about them. Then it's, oh, okay, I forgot about this guy. All type of issues. Adrian Broner was speaking about Showtime in the PBC a couple of weeks ago. And I'm going to tell you like this. When people are used to doing something a certain way, they think that they'll always find a way to overcome it. But it's like this. Sometimes you need a Band-Aid. Right? But if the Band-Aid can't stop the bleeding, you need stitches. You got to do what's necessary to stop the bleeding. This is what's happening with the PBC. They keep trying to put Band-Aids over wounds that need to be stitched. Okay? This is why they keep having all these back-to-back flop failed pay-per-views. And let's be real. Robert Helenius versus Deontay Wilder shouldn't have been a damn pay-per-view. That should no way, shape, or form been a pay-per-view. But at the end of the day, this is what people are not understanding. Now, look at, for example, Darrell versus Plant was on that card as well. So, like I said in the last video, it goes to show you, Plant shared the ring with Canelo. He's no superstar either. This is where, instead of these guys fighting the best guys in their divisions, instead of these cards being put together where these guys can have the best night of boxing every time they go out, they want to, this is going to be a pay-per-view, it got to be a stacked card. Simple. You got to do more than just a main event and then a co-main event here and there. You have to do more than that. This is a different day and time. You know, I don't know if you guys remember, but there was a time after Sugar Ray Leonard fought Marvin Hagler, and the two of them were like doing commentating with the other two guys. I forget their damn names, but they were talking about a rematch. And I remember, I forgot who it was. Sugar Ray Leonard said, I tell you what, he told Hagler to go fight somebody, and then he'd go fight. I'll go take care of Frank Tate. And then after that, you know, just a warm-up. And then after I beat Frank Tate, then me and you will do it again. And Marv was telling him, I don't need a warm-up, man. We need to just do it as soon as possible. And, you know, but the rematch never happened. But because of those talks, people felt like, oh, they're going to do it again. Right? But then the laughter and all, it's like, I don't know. It don't seem like it's really going anywhere. Nowadays, with social media, everything you say travels a lot faster. Okay? You don't have to leave work and drive home and watch the news to see what's going on, or watch ESPN. Nope, you can pull your phone out wherever you are. You can go pull up YouTube, Twitter, whatever, you know, wherever the information is coming from. You can do that right from your office, wherever you are. So word gets around a lot faster now. And all we ever get when it comes to the very big fights is maybe there's a possibility. Well, there's a bump in the road. Well, we got through that, but then there's 3 more bumps in the road after that. Oh, well, and then the talks just fall apart. I don't know how these fighters are so complacent with not fighting each other. Like, well, let me put it this way. I do know. Because, like I said, they become millionaires without fighting the very best. I mean, to Spencer's credit, he's pretty much beaten all the guys in his era except for Keith Thurman and Crawford. You know, but now, having Jaron Ennis and Virgil Ortiz there, if you guys are going to, like, okay, the same way, if Errol Spence goes and fights somebody, he can do the same thing. But say, you know what? Nah, you pick David Avanesyan. Nah, I'm going to fight Jaron Boots Ennis. Who you think is a better fighter? David Avanesyan or Jaron Boots Ennis? I think that's an easy one. But if you're going to go pick another meatball as well, and then after all this meatball picking, the two of you still don't even fight each other. I mean, what do boxing fans expect to happen for boxing in a good way when this is the type of crap that keeps going on? Like, what do you expect to really happen? Al Heyman is not a deity, man. He's a man. Bob Arum, all these people, they're just men. They're human beings. That's it. I think they old asses need to be replaced, though. But not by people who are money-driven and is going to do the same things that they're doing. Somebody who wants to clean the sport up. I promise you, I used to work for a company. Everybody was, yeah, you get in there, man. We in there. We got in there. And I'm there for a while, and I'm like, man, I started just seeing a lot of things that used to be okay or was good at some point, just little by little, just crumble. But it was quickly. And I just started having that gut feeling and that shit, nah, I'm about to leave there because I think this place gonna go out of business. Nah, man, they got bread. Oh, this place is. I'm like, man, okay. Don't worry about what I'm talking about. If you don't see it, you don't see it. But I gotta do what I gotta do for me and my family. When I left, I don't even think it was 6 months after I left. Yo, Aries, yo, you was right. Yo, they shutting down. They called a meeting with us today, man. They said, yo, the end of the month, man, we done. 2 places I work for, same thing happened. Now, one place, I wasn't even shocked. I no, but like I just knew that was inevitable. But the other place that I'm talking about, I felt it, and it was like, nah, I'm gonna make sure I'm okay. Forget what that's about. I'm not gonna sit here and watch the ship sink, then decide to try to save myself. So I got out of there because I felt it. You look at what's going on in boxing, just like who ever thought that they was going to be sitting there one day, and that Jim Lampley, Roy Jones, and Max Kellerman and Larry Merchant was going to make an announcement that Showtime, that HBO would no longer be showing boxing. Whoever thought that was going to happen? Business is not always what you think it is. I used to sit there and watch Nitro. Monday Nitro, WCW. You know, sometimes you flip back and watch Raw. You know, I was always watching Nitro. Whoever thought one day you're going to see Tony Schiavone and them guys stand there saying that 2 Mondays from now is going to be our last Nitro. Like, what? What happened? Everything is not what you think it is. But then again, if you was watching that stuff back then, you remember they used to have this set and have the, logo all nice and everything. And then they kind of got to the big curtain and the little, the scaffold look and didn't look as glamorous and stuff and whatever. And started noticing how the crowds, the buildings wasn't sold out like they used to be. Somebody inside always think they got the answers for something. And it's just money, 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 money. But are you giving quality to your viewing public? I don't cover a whole lot of fighters because you guys don't know who the hell they are. Why am I talking about them? And I see these guys like David Avanesyan. This is the first time I'm ever talking about him. Why? Only because that's the opponent that Terrence Crawford chose. Who talks about David Avanesyan? Part of the problem of thinking logical and thinking with reason and common sense is that it's not contagious and that people will also look at what you say, see the reason and the logic, but no, it's not going to happen that way. What's going on all across the board in boxing? People need to understand. And you think people will look at what happened with HBO? See, the business mind goes, hey, those things happen, man. You just got to keep going. You can't stop. You just got to keep going. It is what it is, Yeah. It's no different from you seeing them tear a building down, build up a new business. The building's there for like 5 years, and all of a sudden, that company's gone. Right? What went wrong? Obviously, they wasn't getting the business that they needed. And you guys are not understanding, these PBC fans, you guys are sitting up here pro PBC and wanting to argue about them and all that, but can you guys explain why these numbers are so low? And think about this, right? Canelo, that's Eddie Hearn's guy. But look at the numbers that Canelo and Triple G did. A lot lower than what people wanted. Devin Haney and Kambosos did better numbers than they did. You guys don't understand. 500,000 pay-per-view buys versus 77,000 pay-per-view buys. 900,000 pay-per-view buys versus 77,000 pay-per-view buys. But understand, even though the numbers were lower with Canelo and Triple G, they were much, much higher than that 77,000. So it goes to show you what I'm saying. Even if piracy has something to do with that fight, still 500,000 more people decided they wanted that fight. 77,000 said, I'll buy this pay-per-view with Wilder and Helenius with Plant and Durrell. The Kambosos card. Nobody talked about the undercard. They only talked about the main event. Now, if we're gonna look at the fact that all three of those fights happened on the same day, not the Canelo fight, of course, but you know, the Haney, Wilder, and Shields all on the same day. Again, people had to pick and choose what they wanted to watch. So when the guy says, oh, because of piracy, how do you know that a whole lot of those fighters said, nah, man, I want to see Shields and Marshall instead. Nah, I want to see Haney and Kambosos instead. Now, you sound stupid if you say, oh, ain't nobody want to see Haney and Kambosos when they fight sold way more pay-per-view buys than Wilder and Helenius. And I don't know the number with Shields and Marshall, but I imagine it did quite well. You know, they had a nice crowd out there in the live audience. And, you know, people are still talking about that pay-per-view. They're still talking about it. The only thing they're talking about with Wilder and Helenius is the fact Wilder knocked dude out the fight, and there's only one round. Okay, and yeah, they're talking as far as Caleb Plant and Durrell. People were saying the fight was boring, and they was glad he finally knocked him out because Durrell should, you know, he should be retired. He's 37, all this stuff, whatever. Same age as Wilder. But at the end of the day, just saying, this was not a situation where it was a great fight. It was a good fight. Wilder did what he was supposed to do and got this guy there, right? Well, on top of that, you also have people that's saying, man, that shit was fixed. It was a dive. I can tell you this. Now, let's just give Wilder the benefit of a doubt and say, let's just give him and Helenius the benefit of a doubt and say that Wilder threw a punch quick. Helenius didn't see it coming. And it was the punch he didn't see that took him out. Let's just give him the benefit of a doubt. I would still say Helenius has a weak-ass chin. And I believe the wear and tear on him and all the knockouts that he done, you know, suffered already, he just can't take a punch anymore. Because that punch, people talk about, but you can hit a thud. As I said, I can sit here and do this. This sounds loud. It doesn't hurt at all. I can sit here and do this. I don't know if you could hear that. You understand what I'm saying? I can feel my brain shake a little bit. Just, you know what I'm saying? But Wilder basically went back and then threw a quick little, and this dude just goes down. And people talk about, oh, but you could tell by his reaction. Well, if you want to fool somebody, I'm just saying, right? You try to make it look as real as possible. Here's the thing, and this is what people, you know, you got to see, people don't tally all this stuff up. And these are the things that people are saying right now. This is the third former sparring partner that Wilder has fought. And it's always some weird, something happens weird in his fights with his sparring partners. Well, you know, in the Malik Scott fight, you know, I saw the left hook. The left hook, Wilder doesn't even know how to throw a left hook. He still, right now in 2022, doesn't know how to turn his right hand, his left or his right over to throw a proper hook. Wilder's hooks are like, if he, the way he throw it, you think it was a jab. he throws his shit. He doesn't shorten it. A left hook is not supposed to be a long punch. Okay? When he throws it and he slaps. And this part of his hand is what hit. Pay attention to his fights. That's why he's always hyperextending his shit here, fucking his shoulder up and breaking his fucking hand, because he doesn't know how to throw a fucking hook. Okay? He throws that shit long. Yeah, he does that, so when he does it, then he's going to come with the right. Yeah, whatever. You don't need to injure yourself just to land a shot. That being said, when he threw the fucking left hook and Malik Scott was by the ropes, you seen Malik Scott hands up here. The left hook slapped him in the head, grazed him. Didn't even catch him with just grazed him in the top of the head. The right hand never touched him. It went through the guard and hit him in the arm. Never touched his face, and Malik Scott went down. I'm convinced that was a fucking dive. Whether Wilder had something to do with it or whether Malik Scott was just scared to keep fighting and just went down on purpose, because he has no heart. And I couldn't even respect that. Wilder said he doesn't respect Anthony Joshua, and he gave his reasons why. My thing is, you respect the guy that took a dive against you and made him your trainer? Look, these things start to come up more and more when people see something and go, wait a minute. Now look at what's happening now. Then all the controversy, all the comments, all the accusations after the second Fury fight. And that's what built more interest into the third fight, was because of all that. Without all that, it wouldn't even been the same. Because remember, when they was about to do it, they had to reschedule the fight. And remember, I gave y'all the blueprint of the building and showed you all the seating chart and how they didn't even have half the building sold yet. So it was all this drama and controversy nonsense. Well, understand something. True boxing fans don't need all of that. All they need to know is who's fighting. Oh, that's going to be a good matchup. And they're interested because they want to see the fight. All this circus stuff that's going on, it doesn't change anything. It doesn't make anything better. Then, to see what happened with him and Avanesyan, and now people are questioning, like, I don't even think man, that's just fake. And I'm seeing this, like, more often. Now, while the fans going to say, oh, they just hating all this, yeah, I know, the same little young-minded shit. Oh, they just hating on Wilder. Wilder's the greatest, all this. Yeah, whatever, man. Nobody care about all that. This is not about just a Deontay Wilder. This is about all of these fighters in general. You guys need each other. And if you understand, if you are not going to fight the best guys in your division, if you are not going to put your foot down and make a stand that I want to fight this guy, then what can you say about any other fighter when y'all are all doing the same things? I mean, but just imagine when you can stand back and say, man, I got some losses on my record, but I fought all the best guys. You fought a bunch of nobodies. It only got one respectable name on your resume, you know, and one decent name on your resume. 2 guys. Facts. Facts. And that's why I say, look at the position that people in. The commercial success that people have put them in higher positions. But you see what happened is the people look at you and they try to put you in a certain category with other fighters. But when you do a pay-per-view, it shows. If you're not fighting the right guy, no, nobody's really going to check this fight. And if y'all expected this to do 250 to 300,000, well, 77,000 is a huge fail. Let's just be real. Terrence Crawford and this guy Avanesyan, I don't see this fight doing good numbers. I don't see how it could. And in fact, people are going to rebel. Why? they want to see Crawford versus Spence. So your fan base, some of your fan base may support your fight, but the rest of them, who is this Avanesyan guy? No, they don't want to see this fight. They don't want to see this fight. And again, if he fought Virgil Ortiz or Gerard Ennis, it would have been a way like different. Like, you know what? He went from undisputed fight to a quality fight, though. They at least respect that. And that would show, yo, you know what? This dude is out here trying to make the best fights, though. He's at least trying to get them. Terrence Crawford, as talented as he is, has one of the weakest resumes at 147. And when guys don't want to fight you is one thing, but when you yourself decide you're going to fight someone and try to make them sound better than what they are, I mean, I'm just saying. I like Crawford as a fighter. I like Spence as a fighter. Okay, I like the Charlos as fighters. A lot of fighters I like as fighters. You understand what I'm saying? I like Bam Bam as a fighter. You know, I like Caleb Plant as a fighter. There's, you know, but it's unfortunate the things that happen in boxing and the mindsets that people have to where they are complacent with not doing the right things. Nobody wants to see Crawford versus Avanesyan. Nobody wants to see no goddamn Tyson Fury versus Chisora 3. And when I say nobody, I'm talking outside of their diehards, because they're the only ones that want to see that shit. Okay? So, hopefully, after those horrible numbers came up, Wilder gets it, the PBC gets it, that, nah, we need to put him in there. We need to make him an Andy Ruiz. And I'm saying this ahead of time, because what if that's not the next fight? Because I doubt very seriously he's going to fight Joe Joyce. So if he's not going to fight Andy Ruiz, who is he going to fight? Well, you said you want to fight Anthony Joshua in Africa. Well, if you can't get him, fight an African named Efe Ajagba. Fight somebody that at least is you know, at least decent. Just saying. Fight Frank Sanchez. Fight Frank Sanchez. I'm not one of these people that say the politically correct things. I'm not one of these people that say what people want me to say, and I'm not one of these people that basically I can't be programmed, bought, or sold. And I'm not going to sit up and act like what these guys are doing is okay, because it's not. And you, the viewing public, the paying customer, are foolish if you're sitting there going, man, I can't believe I bought this bullshit pay-per-view. And then they give you another weak card and you go do it again. There's better things you can do with your money, but it's up to you. And these are the type of situations where every time you turn around in boxing, it's the same thing. Like I told you, let's enjoy what we saw with Marshall and Shields and all them that night, because it was a great night of boxing, regardless to who you wanted to win and how it went, whatever. Just enjoy it. What I tell you. Because every time boxing take one step forward, it take 3 or 4 steps backwards. Okay? Shields versus Marshall, win. Baumgartner versus, Mayer, win. The whole card, win. Okay? Just saying. Haney retained his title, showed he's a true champion, and that, hey, I'm just better than Kambosos. I'm the best 135-pounder out there. I want to prove it. He may have to go up in weight soon because, like you said, man, he's killing himself to stay at 135. And you got people like Paulie running his mouth trying to say he's doing it because he don't want to fight Lomachenko. When we know Lomachenko was the one who relinquished his title to become franchise. And who was his mandatory? Haney. So how did he duck Lomachenko at any point in time? And he was calling him out forever. But yeah, we get those good fights. Caleb Plant went in there and finally knocked the guy out that said he can't knock anybody out. and that people was, you know, sleeping on him and saying he has no power. And he showed, nah, I got power, but I'm a safety first type boxer. And I don't put everything into all my shots. He has a new trainer now, so, you know, just saying. So things happened the way it was supposed to. Wilder was put in there with a journeyman, and he got him out of there like he was supposed to. Because if Wilder would have went there and got some rounds in, like people talking about, I wish Wilder would have got some rounds in. No, you don't want Wilder to get rounds in with Helenius. Are you fucking stupid? I know why you saying it. Because he's been out for over a year and all of this, right? And then, yeah, okay, so he gets some rounds in. But with Helenius, no. No, because if he's going rounds with Helenius, either one, he's carrying him, or two, more than likely, until he get the knockout, well, yeah, this guy's giving him problems. He shouldn't have any problems with Helenius. He did what he was supposed to do. Now, here we go with this situation, which I didn't care for that fight, don't get me wrong, but I'm saying he did what he was supposed to do with this guy. But now, you think you're going to get the announcement, Spence versus Crawford? Nope. Nope. Not happening. And can we say it's going to happen? No. No. Fury could have took a better opponent. Derek Chisora 3. So like I said, it's not just a PBC thing. It's just boxers in general. Boxing is just a thing, man, that we make. It's controlled by people. People need to start understanding. People don't want these, you know, these fighters need the people in boxing to understand. These people don't want to take their hard-earned money and pay for something and then feel like, why did I even buy this shit? And I'm pretty sure a lot of times people feel like that. So, again, boxing takes another step back. A couple of steps back. Because there's fights that's happening that we don't want to see. And there were better opponents out there that they could have made the fight with, but no. And you want to jump in the ring right away, we get you. But again, and for the fans, for you casuals that like to say this guy ain't ready for that guy and this guy ain't ready, well, then you got to look at your favorite fighters and say, well, yeah, true. If this guy ain't ready, why didn't you fight him? You know, I think you'll beat him with no problem. You say you'll beat him. Why'd you pick a guy that's less than him? Why'd you pick a guy that he'll knock out? See, just saying. Anyway, what y'all think about the PBC, Matchroom, ESPN, all this stuff? What do y'all really think the state of boxing, this transition of these low numbers coming up? What do y'all think right now? Where do y'all think boxing stands right now? Talk to me in the comment section. Where do y'all really feel like boxing stands right now? Because I'm pretty sure all of us can come up with these things that we see that we wish was different. But I mean, where does boxing really stand right now? As a sport. Fuck the NFL and MMA and all that. Where do you think boxing stands? Just based on everything that we see and know. Because the behind the scenes stuff that we don't know, it's because they don't want us to know. Never fall in love with lies. Remember the truth brings hate out of people. And I will catch y'all in the next video.